Welcome to lesson 2 of our course on journeying with the plant spirits. In this lesson, we are going to look at how to choose a plant to journey with. Just giving you some ideas. People who learn how to do this work often get a little bit hung up on which plant should I sit with. There are so many to choose from and so many that I'm interested in. So who should I sit with? So hopefully this lesson will give you some guidance. And again, by the end of this lesson, you might have a list of 5 plants that you want to sit with. That's okay. You've got lots of time. The longest that we do these sits is 29 days. So you can dedicate 1 month to 5 different plants. And in 5 months, you will know those 5 plants better than you think. So a few things to consider here. First, I really like to approach these plant spirit journeys from a bioregional perspective, meaning which plants grow near you, which plants share the same soil that you grow on, share the same environment, atmosphere, the same sun, sky, and stars that you thrive under. This can be very important, not only because these are plants that we have access to, they don't require us to go out and buy them from somebody or have them shipped overseas or whatever. We can actually go out and really be in deep relationship with them. But because it allows us, in some situations, to go out and sit in person with that plant, to do this work that I'm going to teach you in the presence of the actual plant themselves. Now, this is by no means a requirement. You can work with any plant you want in this method and have great success. But there is something quite beautiful about, sitting under the canopy of a particular tree and taking that tree's medicine internally while you are held, in their space, or sitting in front of a plant as they grow in your garden and taking their medicine and doing this work. It really elevates it to a different level. So you might want to narrow the list down to plants that you have access to, that grow where you are, either nativized, or can be gardened. This can be a really beautiful way to source a bioregional style of plant medicine work, which is really great. We can look at herbs that are medicine for you, right? So the herbs that have continually shown up to be good medicine for you, they're not only appropriate for you to take internally in the form of a tincture or glycerate, but they are aligned to something you're working with. They're an herb that has a virtue that addresses some stuff you've got going on, right? So these are the herbs that are healing us. So oftentimes we do work with herbs in formulas, so it can be a little tricky. But if you have a good herbalist, you can reach out and say, hey, what's the herb in this formula that's really the most important voice in the room? And that could be an invitation to get to know that herb better based on how they're healing you and that you're already kind of in relationship with them. So that can be good. We can look at the herbs that show up in dreams, in omens, and in synchronicity. Sometimes plants have a funny way of getting on our radar. They show up over and over again, or we learn how to identify them and suddenly we see them everywhere, or they pop up in a dream. So we need to acknowledge too that sometimes the plant spirits reach out to us and they kind of create that invitation for us to go deeper into the work. So if you've had that, I say follow it. We want to always ensure that, especially because we'll be working with this medicine internally, that it's safe to do so. If you are being called out by one of our poison allies, obviously you're not going to take a tincture of them internally. What you can do then is find a good flower essence, or instead of taking them internally, just sit with them physically, which you can kind of creatively figure out how to do as we go through this course. But I do suggest that, especially the first few times you do this process, that you work with a plant that is safe for you to take internally so that you can have that medicine drop into your actual body, so that you can have the plant spirit teach you from within. It's a very powerful experience. You could consider herbs that are suggested to you by an herbalist. If you've got a great herbalist that you work with, go ask them. Say, hey, I'd really like to sit with an ally. Here's what I'm going through in life, what I'm working on, what my goals are, and see if maybe they can help you find a plant that would be a really good fit for you that would be not only safe for you to work with, but maybe over that journey help you address, or work on some of the stuff you're working on. So it could be good. And so really, it doesn't have to be hard to figure it out. You don't have to overthink it. Most of this is pretty common sense. Again, making sure that when you're taking an herb internally, that herb is not only safe for internal use, but is safe for you as an individual to use internally. And if not, exploring flower essences or vibrational essences as an alternative, or just picking a different plant. Again, when we get deeper into this work, you will be able to find creative ways to work around plants that maybe you cannot take internally. But for now, pick the ones that love to be inside the human body. So we will be working with tincture or glycerite in this particular journey for simplicity. They are easy, they never go bad. It allows us to measure out drops very efficiently. And when we do the 29-day journey, we are counting drops every day. So it just makes everything so much easier. If you do not want to take alcohol or use a tincture that's based in alcohol, you'll need to find a glycerite, which is essentially the same thing. The plant medicine is just extracted into vegetable glycerin instead of alcohol. And the glycerites do have a shelf life. They will eventually go bad. So buy the smallest bottle possible. It's usually 1 ounce or 2 ounce. You can keep that in your fridge if you like to extend the shelf life. But generally, they've got about a 2-year shelf life before they kind of start getting gross. If you have a regular tincture extracted into a 30 to 40% alcohol and water combination, those never go bad. So that's another really good benefit. If you're working with flower essences, follow the dosing advice given by the person or company who makes the flower essence. If you do want to look into flower essences, I'm a big fan of Flower Essence Society, FES. I really like the work they do, the fact that they're located here in the States and are working with a lot of plants that grow here. And of course, there are other companies as well. The sky is the limit there. So next lesson, we will start the process. So you've got a week to procure your tincture or your glycerite, get that ready, create a sacred space in your life to do this work. If you keep an altar or a shrine, make a little place for that tincture to sit, because this is us reaching out to the plant spirit. Otherwise, just find a nice place of honor to keep that tincture as a way to reach out to the plant spirit and make it known that as you carve out physical space for them in your life, you're also carving out energetic space for them within. And I look forward to getting into it next lesson.